All right, welcome everybody to Tuesday, September 19th, 2017, meeting of Kubernetes SIG service catalog. Doug, you want to do the moderator thing?
Sure. So I just pasted a link to the agenda in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, if you want to add your names to the attendee list, that'd be useful. Thank you, guys. And obviously, we're doing the plus hand thing if you want to talk. First up on the agenda, Paul, you want to talk about a potential face-to-face?
Yeah, so there's going to be an open service broker API working group face-to-face meeting in Raleigh, North Carolina, November 28th and 29th. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. Seems like a good opportunity since we have a heavy overlap with that group with folks that are in the SIG. Red Hat, it looks like, is going to host it. So I think I should be able to get additional space for another day, either Monday or Thursday. I wonder if people are interested in doing another face-to-face. I think it would be a great idea. They tend to be really, really useful. And IBM, I think, is going to buy the food, right, Doug?
I am looking into having us buy the food for dinner one evening, yes. And you would not believe the hell I'm going through just getting that. So we'll see.
I'm hearing that Doug is going to make sure that dinner is financed somehow. So you want to eat on money that comes from Doug, join us.
Yeah.
No need for consensus now. We should probably do the doodle thing and send a message to the mailing list. I guess I can take that as an action item. Rough read of the room, Michael Kibbe.
Is this in addition to the December one for KubeCon?
This is in addition to it is a bonus face-to-face. Additional value for the same price.
Yeah, so my hand's up. Someone in there, I don't know if that was you, Paul, but said not just Monday or Thursday, but maybe Monday and Thursday. That might be worthy of doing a doodle poll as well to see whether you'll want to meet 2 days or just the one.
That's a good idea.
I wish we would have done this before I booked my travel, but.
So that what I'm hearing is, Paul, if you can do a doodle poll sooner rather than later, maybe we can reduce the amount of pain for people.
Okay. Sorry, Vilay.
It's okay. I haven't even requested travel yet.
All right. Any other questions, comments on this one? All right, Paul, the next issue you added to the list is one image versus multiple images.
Yeah, so we're currently publishing an image for API server and an image for controller manager. It seems like less things to keep track of if we just publish one. I wonder what people think.
What?
Elaborate again, Paul.
Why would I want one image with both things in it?
Why would you want two that can get out of sync?
Because they're different things. They're not the same thing.
All right. So Morgan has spoken.
Then they should all be in one binary, and we should if we're going to mash them together, they should all be in one binary, and we should have flags that choose what you start up.
That is actually a fantastic idea. I would support that 100%.
Okay, so I'm next in the queue. So I actually like the idea. It reminds me of what they did with Hypercube, and I think that was probably a nice way to go. I think it makes it a little bit easier for consumers of this stuff, mainly because what Paul said, less of a chance of things getting out of sync. And if we can collapse it down to one binary, I think that would be helpful as well. Anybody else have comments? Is there any objection to looking at this path until we find a reason not to?
I guess the only reason would be if they have any kind of, or the obvious questions would be if they have different failure or different scaling semantics, why you would want to split them up differently. But if they, I don't think that's really an issue here.
I couldn't make out what you said, Vilay.
I was just saying one single binary is fine. That seems nice. I'm just saying typically the one reason why you might want to keep them separate is if they have different kind of either config, or if they have different scaling or failure semantics, that you would want to go and keep them separate. But I don't think that really applies here.
Yeah, so if we put them into a single image, and especially into a single binary, you wouldn't have to run them in the same container. You could, the idea would be to keep basically everything about our current chart setup the same, except use the same image and either different binaries in the same image, or an all-in-one binary like hypercube that you could pass an argument to that was like hypercatalog API server blah. Hypercatalog, this is not my suggestion for a name, hypercatalog controller manager blah.
All right, any other questions, comments? I'll ask the question one more time. Is there any objection to heading down this path for now?
I think it's ridiculous, but okay.
Okay, I'm not hearing any objection, so we'll head down that path. Okay, Paul, you're up next with cutting the next release.
So in 0.2 or 0.20, there was a missed feature gate in the controller manager. I have folks that are blocked on this because you currently can't turn it on, as far as we know, in the controller manager. And I wonder if people are okay cutting 0.21 tonight to unblock several teams at Red Hat.
Any objection to cutting one tonight? Done. All right, moving on. Names, Paul.
All right, let's see. Morgan, are you sharing your screen? Is that you,
Yeah,
Morgan?
that's me. I think Mike has something to say. Michael? No? Maybe?
His
Michael,
hand
yes.
is up.
Yeah. Just make sure that you get the last of the formatting fixes in, because otherwise Travis will fail, and then that'll delay the deployment until that gets merged in. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Is your pull request for that merged?
I don't think so. I think it's sitting there with one LGTM last I checked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think I LGTM'd it already, so we just need one more.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it so I don't forget about it. If people can just chill out, hang out, stand by, cool it, and so forth. Bam.
Well, Paul.
LGTM2.
Okay, I will go ahead and merge it while you talk about the next issue of names.
Okay, Morgan, would you open up the issue for names and mosey on down to the bottom of that thing? All right, there we go. So, I have talked a little bit about this with Doug and Vile yesterday, and so we came to, and I also spoke with Clayton Coleman last week, who, if people don't know who he is, he's one of the owners of Kubernetes, and spent quite a bit of time over the last week talking and thinking about this stuff. We have a proposal that this is basically the synthesis of ideas from myself, Doug, Clayton, Vile, and here's how it goes, is that the TLDR, and I will explain in detail in a minute, but first, the TLDR is that in a service instance spec, users will use the human readable names of service classes and plans to specify which service and plan they're on. The controller will write into another set of fields called service class ref and service plan ref, the Kubernetes names of the service class and service plan. We will use to start with, and there might be other schemes maybe in the future, but for now we will use the Open Service Broker ID of services and plans for the Kubernetes names of service classes and service plans. And that way we can deal with basically deal with the ambiguity about names and the fact that they can change in Open Service Broker API. Kubernetes names can't. And we can have a nice API that satisfies the requirement that end users should be able to make declarations in terms of the human readable names. So any questions on that before I talk through the specifics that are in this comment? All right, so the exhaustive list is that, and there will be some repetition here, we're going to use the Open Service Broker ID for Kubernetes names for now. We're going to add an external name field to the service class spec and service plan spec after we move what is in those resources in Morgan's pull request 1106 into spec instead of just being exploded in the resource. We're going to add external name, and that will be the human readable name. We're going to keep external ID. So there's going to be external name and external ID. Users will specify the human readable names via these, I call them OSB service name and OSB plan name fields in the service instance spec. There are going to be new fields added to the service instance spec for service class ref and service plan ref. And the controller is going to maintain those fields. There's precedent for this pattern in a couple different ways, in the ways that persistent volumes and persistent volume claims work. I'm happy to explain those if people aren't aware of them. But the TLDR is that there are several different ways that you can specify criteria in a persistent volume claim, which is how you use a persistent volume in Kubernetes in your namespace. And the long and short of it is no matter what way you pick, the persistent volume controller writes the name of the persistent volume into another field in the spec. And this is basically the same pattern. So to talk through some examples, say that I make a new instance of a MySQL service with the TIN plan. I would put in OSB service name MySQL. I would put in OSB plan name TIN, and I submit that. I post that to the API server. The controller, when it processes this, is like, hey, the service class ref and service plan ref are blank. I'm going to look these services and plans up, and I'm going to set those references, and I'm going to update the object. And by the way, one thing that I missed going through this list is external name is a selectable field on service class and service plan, meaning that I can do a list request with a field selector that says, give me the services that match the service classes with this external name. Give me the plans with this external name. I don't have to get the whole collection and iterate through them. So the controller will find these things, write their names into service instance spec, update the object, and then go on its merry way doing what it does now. Likewise, when I want to update the plan, I will change the OSB plan name from TIN to quadruple platinum, and the controller, when it processes the watch event from this update, will update the service plan ref, and it will begin doing the update on the broker. So that is the TLDR plus the too long, went into detail anyway version. EOF for me.
Okay. Any
And we'll see if folks have questions.
any questions for Paul? Comments?
Stunned into silence.
Since no one's speaking, we'll have me make it official. I think, not hearing any objection, I think we may need to give people at least a day to think this over, since it is a big design decision, and then come back tomorrow and see if anybody has any concerns after they thought about it during the night.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to reach out to folks at Microsoft because Aaron is out, and I want to make sure that they have a chance to think about this, because Aaron's out, Kent's not around. I let Gabe know that I wanted to talk to him, so I'm going to circle the wagons with them.
Okay. So hold on a minute. Just taking some notes here. So any other or any questions at all before we move on to the next subject? Going once? All right. In that case, Morgan, you're up. When do we declare bankruptcy on the Google Doc?
Yeah, it seems like it's. How about now? Is that better?
Yes.
It seems like it's a pretty big doc, and it's over a year old, and we've got a year of meetings in it. So maybe we should either shift all the current contents into a an archival doc, and then have a pointer, or shove it all in Git somehow, or something. But it's a big doc. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it takes absolutely forever to load, if it loads at all, on a slow connection. I actually was just thinking about this. I think we could do something like archive by quarter into another doc, and just link into old archive docs. But
Okay.
I'm agnostic, as long as we cut it down from the 70 pages that it's pushing right now.
Yep. Vile, your hands up.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's what we usually do as well. Do we want to go ahead and just have the documents linked to each other, or do we just want to go ahead and have the links from the wiki page, so there's only one place to have to look? Or wiki page, or whatever, the GitHub page, it basically says here's the notes. If we just add the links to the archive notes there, do we need anything else?
That's a good idea. There's also a link to it on the community page for Service Catalog, so we should make sure that links to the right thing too.
So who's going to take an AI to do this stuff?
I can do it.
Okay. Thank you, Vile. Hold on. Okay. Next, I guess I should ask, any other questions, comments on this topic? All right, Morgan, next up, table of contents. Is this still an issue?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about it, or do you just want to veto everything?
I'm just wondering, given the previous discussion, is this still a desire of yours?
I mean, it's nice to have contents. Know what's in there. That's all.
Well, why don't you go ahead and talk about the issue?
You get a nice, pretty table of contents at the top, and I don't know if you need to have the recording part in there, but I think going forward, it could help to look at you want to go back to the place, you can go back to the place real easy. But I guess if it's a quarterly thing, then maybe it'll only be, I don't know, what are we at, 70 pages? So it'll only be, 20 pages at a time? So how do you go back faster? Anyway, that's it.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Any feedback?
Do it.
Anything else? Any objection to, quote, doing it? All right. In that case, it is done. And we're at the end of the agenda. Is there any other topic people would like to bring up? Going once? Going twice? Done. So we're going to meet again tomorrow to at least revisit the naming proposal.
Yeah.
All right. In that case.
Hey, Paul, do you want me to do the doodle as well, since I'm doing administrative things? If you want to.
Please.
Okay.
All right. I guess we're done, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye, guys.
All right. See ya. Thanks, everybody.